I want to remind everybody that's listening to this or watching the video, this is how you do it. You can text us at any time. All you have to do is dial in 863-222-4199. You can text us directly right now. I don't care where you are. You could be standing in your car. You could be standing in your car. You're kind of big car. But you could be anywhere. It doesn't matter. Again, 863-222-4199.
It is time to experience a different radio station in digital broadcasting WKIT. Pyramid One World Radio Network with broadcaster Bob Charles. Our programming is based on truth, faith, and love. We have studios in Florida, Texas, and Australia. So let's begin into subjects that change our perceptions about the world around you and I.
Ladies and gentlemen, you are now tuned into Pyramid One World Radio as Jamie Clark shares how his profound psychic abilities can help change the world. With an unwavering intuition and a deep connection to the spiritual realm, Jamie has the power to guide us toward a brighter future. During this captivating interview, Jamie will delve into his extraordinary gift of clairvoyance and explain how he harnesses this power to benefit humanity. From predicting global events to providing life-changing insights, his psychic abilities offer a unique perspective that can truly transform the world around us. Listeners who call into the show by dialing 609-663-0153 will be captivated as Jamie unveils his vision for a more enlightened society, one where we embrace the mystical and tap into the infinite wisdom of the universe. Don't miss this opportunity to witness the incredible potential of Jamie Clark's psychic gifts and how they can shape the course of our collective and prepare to have your mind and spirit expanded by the remarkable Jamie Clark. Jamie can also instruct the masses on how love has the power to change the world today. Love is a force that has the ability to transform lives and communities. When we approach the world with a heart full of compassion, empathy, and genuine care for one another, we unlock the potential to make a profound difference. Millions of people around the globe feel forgotten, abandoned, or disconnected from the divine. They are searching for meaning, purpose, and a sense of belonging. By leading with love, we can reach these individuals and remind them that they are seen, valued, and deeply cared for. Through acts of kindness, service, and unconditional acceptance, we can demonstrate the life-changing power of love. This ripple effect has the potential to inspire others, build bridges across divides, and ultimately change the trajectory of our world. When we choose love, we choose to be the light that guides those in darkness towards a brighter future. It is time to harness the transformative potential of love and use it to uplift, heal, and unite humanity. Together, We can create a world where no one feels forgotten, where everyone is embraced, and where the divine spark within each of us is honored and celebrated. The future is ours to shape, and love will be the catalyst for lasting, meaningful change. Put your hands together and allow Jamie to take your calls and help the world.
I tell you something, and I mean, it's not. There's no intent to this whatsoever, but 8 hours to do that thing.
That's a beautiful intro. Nicely worded as well.
Yeah, but still, it's like you talk about different things. I mean, my feelings, my inner feelings of the word love goes in so many directions. I mean, it's unbelievable. It's just like, it could be this, could be that, could be this, could be that.
It's everything. Yes, exactly.
And but when you take it and you make a universal language out of it, then it's like, forget about it. It's all over. And people don't get it. I swear to you, every single look. And I mean, I know I'm not going to make anybody uneasy or mad at me. I don't think.
Hopefully.
I don't think. But there are light workers all over the place that could call in and give me their 2 cents on a show like this and say, and be part of the whole. You know what I mean? This show, and I listen to this in the car, even when I'm driving, and then I'll listen to the show like the next day, because sometimes you have a different feeling the next day, and maybe I could change something on the next show or whatever. So, I mean, I listen to these things, and I'm saying to myself, they are idiots for not calling in. They go and they preach peace and this and light and whatever. And I said, but do they believe in what they're saying in their hearts? I mean, anybody can say anything and you can feel like anything, right? Like right now, and I feel like having a steak, with soy sauce on it. But, I mean, it's a thought. But on the other hand, that's what most people take spiritual feelings for, when it's a universal feeling that comes from not here, but somewhere. And that feeling or that energy or that something that invigorates our soul is the thing that we should all look in the mirror and say, I am. And believe it all the way. I'm serious. You ever get mad at yourself for thinking about something, and you're saying, why didn't I think of that a long time ago, or whatever? And it's crazy, because it's only maybe it's the age, God damn it. But whatever it is, it's one of these things that when you finally realize that there are so many things you still have to do, or there's so many things that you still should say, or convince people to learn, not to be completely idiots, but learn. Learning is 99% of our life.
Huge. I am always learning. Yes.
Yeah.
I always say that. The more I know, I don't know nothing, man, but I'll share my perspective.
Exactly.
And then we can be sincere. And you're bringing up a very good point about the love, because I always say, for me, never mistake love and compassion for weakness. It is the complete opposite. And unless you have your own experiences as you graduate life, talking about the I am, it is incredible, because there have been many times where I just find myself unified with the oneness, and the two words that keep playing, I am. And the dynamic is every time I connect and I become one, it is like the best mood you've ever been in, the best meal you have ever had. Truly, my soul feels full. And I don't have all of the regrets that humans have to make life choices, and we're going to learn to live with it one way or another. And after that completeness, if I can share, I asked Chi, my master guide, I'm like, Chi, How is it that when I merge with the oneness, I feel so complete? I feel the love and the connection. And he's very patient. He's like, well, Jamie, this dynamic is on a quantum level, all experiences are happening now. All potential outcomes are happening now. Your soul print of consciousness is connected to each and every one of those alternate realities and outcomes. And just because you're not aware of it does not mean it's not being registered into your Solodex or Akashic Records, whatever we want to call it, as an eternal soul print of consciousness. And I'm like, God, that makes sense, because for me, as an eternal being, good, bad, happy, sad, is completely loved and accepted right where we are, each and every one of us. And unless you have your own experiences like, oh, the airy-fairy love, sure, that stuff's real.
See, I told you. Yeah.
Yeah, oh yeah. And that's that firsthand experience to go. Secondhand's lovely. Firsthand is solid. Going, I don't understand it, I just experienced it. Yes, exactly.
Right.
The more that we open up to our connections with the oneness, the more that we open up our own soul prints of consciousness, the more information will we be able to glean from these different directions of experience. And people just need to know, okay, I count, I'm here, because I agree with you. A lot of people are feeling left alone. And it's not always easy to go, yeah, be happy when you're not so happy. And, we have dynamics that I coulda, shoulda, woulda. And if I have those, I'll instantly stop for the moment and give myself permission to do the best I can with where I'm at, what I'm aware of, and keep going. Because otherwise, for myself, that self-judgment can shut you down. I've learned to just accept myself the best that I can. That's all I can do. Is I'm just going to be me.
That is the whole thing right there. We are what we are. What are we? We are. Boom. I am.
I am.
It's like, how did I get back there? I don't know, but we did. But I mean, it's the craziest thing in the whole world. I mean, I mean, you must experience this yourself. You within, I would say, 15 minutes of my day, I'll see somebody with a bad face, somebody with a sad face, somebody laughing, somebody just talking. I mean, like somebody wound them up when they got up and the mouth just keeps going. And, you see all these different type of people. However, you realize when you see all these people, there's only one thing that links them all together. And I'm not talking about breathing, hearts, or anything else. I'm talking the universal fact that they all are connecting to something.
And all interconnected. It is
Right.
all truly one. Yes. I'm right there with you.
So, I mean, it's when you think about that, the person that's sad is thinking about one time when they did something or something like that. And then they it's like a bomb, boomerang or something. They snap back to reality from wherever they are, because you'll see them like in a half an hour and they'll be a whole different person in a way. Yeah. And this is people don't realize that our lives are not just, and I mean, as I said, it's maybe the age, I don't know, maybe I realized it through that, but when you're living your life and you've lived it for a long time, put it that way, you realize that it's been up and down like a graph for the stock markets. It's like up, down, up, down, up, down. So can we change that? Yes, we can. To realize who we are and then love everyone. And I don't mean go and jump on some guy in it and start, whatever. But, I mean, it's one of these things that where it's like an ultra respect for someone.
And acceptance.
There's people that I don't even, well, look, we went out for my birthday. We went out to a restaurant. And the people that were there were I was like giving this one lady a plate and, showing the lady and that's some really, really good stuff. I had this before and that was great. One of these kind of crazy things. And all these people, especially the one who was the manager, she goes, man, you're good. And I said, no, we could all do what I'm doing. They just didn't. So I did.
Yes. And that's how you stand out. People just need to know that it's possible.
Right.
Okay, you know what? If you can do it, then maybe I can do it. And I'm like, yes, freaking A. Question everything and be open and let me know how it goes.
I always make it like a disease. I hope everybody catches it.
In a good way, but I think that
Whatever.
that's an interesting dynamic is it's that love connection. And I always say for me, that love of itself already is unconditional, for love allows everything to be, especially even on this planet. Good, bad, happy, sad, everything exists on this planet. That's why I share the fact that I'll guarantee you there are people on top of the hill with everything and everyone, people in the street with nothing and alone, and everywhere in between. So it becomes the connection of what you perceive, what you think about will start to manifest in your life. It becomes that frequency, that vibration of connection, those conscious thought patterns. And I'm right there with you. And for myself, learning to discipline, train ourselves the best that we can to stay on that productive channel and less of the destructive channel. I'm not ignorant, but I'm not that ignorant, but it's in this case that I will always help others in any and every way I can, and I keep myself included. Hi, I'm Jamie. I'm no longer a hypocrite. I'll always be of service to others, but I got so good at always helping others. No, I'll be fine. I could. And then I started realizing, well, wait a minute. I'm not a freaking hypocrite. What, I'm now going old school, do as I say, not as I do. I'm like, I better be living my truth the best that I can.
Let me just interject now while you're saying that, because I mean this is something that I noticed in the last maybe 3 months or something. When people, like for instance, and what I do, like the same thing you did in the same restaurant thing, everything. When I'm doing things like that, I mean I'm not gonna put any medals on me or anything else in it, but I know what I'm doing. I've been doing it for 6 years in a row. So just get out of my way and let me do my job. It's one of those kind of things. So all of a sudden, people are helping me. I have said to them, and they must have remembered, or maybe I just kind of stuck it in their head somewhere through an ear or something. I always said, if you can be as good as me, then you can do what I'm doing. It makes it easy because you already know what you're doing. So it makes it easy. So it's not a job. It's something that you just do.
Yes.
And for instance, like we work, I can't say the names or anything else, but it's a very national, worldwide, not with a D in front of it, but but
That's great.
but it's a restaurant kind of thing, and there is everything that I can do in the whole place to make the place work, production, everything, except make a pizza. It's the only thing I don't do in the whole place, or run a cash register. I did that all my life, and when I was a kid. So I mean, forget about it. It's out of my. Let somebody else do that. But I mean, those are the only two things I don't do in the whole place.
And so guess what? Other people will do it. Yes, it brings the bigger picture together. Yes.
Wait a minute, but it takes them all day, and it takes me an hour and a half.
So now you're efficient, but it doesn't mean that you have to do a certain circumstance or dynamic just because you're good at it. What if you're becoming the catalyst of consciousness for other people just by what you're sharing?
We got Mother's Day is coming up, and God bless mothers. I'm telling you, my mother was God, to me, because I mean she raised two kids, had a house, did everything she had to do, took care of us, put us through school. I came out smart, believe it or not. I have no idea, but that was just my mother, and I came out as a singer and sang my whole life and everything. 39 years, and that I was singing professionally. And my mother was a singer, and that's where it all came from. Just like your mother did what she did, and that's how you became what you are. I mean, it's like something that kind of comes into you. This whole world could operate just like we are. And the respect that we give a mother is the same thing I'm talking about right now. It's somebody who can do everything in a very small window of time, and at the same time be efficient doing it.
And now you got the selflessness
right
of being able to help without putting yourself on top.
Exactly. So who paid attention of their mother and who didn't? Okay.
Help
like who helped
and
mom?
when we're kids, We can accept them going, oh, that's just mom or just dad or whatever the case is. Going, oh, okay, I hear that. I connect with them all the time. And that great first hand, that first nature, not second nature, but the first nature of the essence of our soul is powerful. And you, like me, I'm very fortunate to have had my mom in my life who brought me into this particular lifetime this way and giving us different perspectives. Sometimes, we get into the usefulness of, hey, this is the only thing and nothing else matters. I'm like, well, what if everything matters? What if it's all interconnected and is truly all one? I share the fact, if I may, fairly recently. I was just sitting there. I wasn't meditating. I'm just sitting there, and I still don't know how it's possible, but that quickly, I became everybody I ever interacted with. I felt every single energy exchange and came back to me with the words, how'd you treat yourself? I'm like, oh my God, that stuff is real. Holy crud. And so in being able to get those connections, that realization and integration of that energy vibe is powerful because, you don't even have to say anything. Your energy will vibe toward other people. And it's what we think about and our attention to those thoughts that creates those vibrations of energy. That's what I also say constitutes that personal magnetism when you first meet somebody. It's either like, I love your energy or don't want to get to know you. They don't have to say a word, yet you feel their energy.
I can, let me give you an example. Today, we have a girl that's a manager, and she's a very pleasant lady. I mean, if ever she's a mother, she's going to be one hell of a mother. She's going to be like my mother and your mother.
Beautiful.
It's one of those kind of people. Anyway, I says to her today, I says, Rochelle, I had a dream about you last night. And of course, a bunch of kids in the place and everything else. Everybody was like, huh? I said, you actually dropped the pizza on the floor. I mean, dropped it right out of the oven, boom, right on the floor, upside down. And I said, I have no idea why I had the dream. I have no idea why it went back and that, but it did. She goes, well, I did that. Okay, so how did what she did from her thoughts hit me, and I'm, in bed sleeping.
In dreamland, right.
So where did these thoughts, these things, these connections are mystifying in one way, positive in another one, and pure energy connection another way. I mean, it was unbelievable. She really, really did. She thought about it. She thought about what Bob would do. What if he had to pick it up? Because I'm a fool. I would anyway. But maybe that was a connection.
Yes, and you said it first. It wasn't like, oh, she said, I dropped a pizza. You're like, I had a dream about you, and it was weird, but
no, I said it first.
Exactly. That's when it gets real. And then more than likely, she's like, well, that did happen. And it's interesting because you're in the sleep state, I'm in the wake state, and that happened, which is pretty much the same channel. What if you were just tuning into her frequency, her energy vibe of what's going on? And in that clear receptive state of Sleepyville, that's all you had to do was just receive the information. And then having the guts to say it, because not everyone will say something like that, that you now got validation to go, whoa, I didn't know that really had happened already. But now you're getting a reflection of consciousness. What if you were just tuned in for that and gives you an understanding of other people more effectively?
I see. Now you're opening up another door. If I could do that, and she did what she did, and maybe unknowingly, the energy was there, the thought was there, and I picked up the thought. How can, I'm asking you this is as a educated thought. How can people realize that they all do that every day?
Just point it out. That's all that we can do. Can't make them, but pointing it out. And a lot of people start to realize, well, what's weird is when I was younger, I was thinking about a person and they called right after that. It was weird. I don't know. It was what a coincidence. In the beginning, it seems to be a coincidence. pretty soon you get those patterns enough, you see it as precision on the universe's part. There is no coincidence or luck. It is powerful. And that's when it gets real for people to go, for the young lady is, I didn't say anything. You said it first. But I want to kind of validate that dream that you thought was just a dream might have been really connecting to this reality as we perceive it, that I actually did that earlier today.
Yeah, it was so weird though. The dream was, it woke me up.
Just an acknowledgement. Yes.
You remember my dream about the Egyptian hanging out with the pyramids?
Yes, sir.
Right, the outer body thing.
Yeah.
Very, very, very similar because it was real. I was there. I saw it hit the floor.
Yep.
Weird, but you do this and we do this to each other all the time, all the time. For instance, here's a weird one for you. How do people read dogs? I do. Mine. And that the way he, maybe it's the way he looks or whatever, but he can look the same way, and I can turn around and I can say something to him, and all of a sudden it's like you hit something, something that they were either thinking about or imagining or something. Now these are animals, but it's still a soul. So what are you talking to? The dog or the soul?
The soul. That vehicle. And you know what? You bring up a very interesting point for myself, and that is when I do the mediumship, not only can I have beautiful little babies who didn't necessarily make it here to this dimension, and beautiful fur babies or our animals, they're able to come through and communicate to me like adults in English. And I asked Chi, I'm like, Chi, how is that possible that these beautiful little children and animals that didn't necessarily make it to get the vibrational patterns on the ear knobs of that particular language able to come through and talk with me like adults, very consciously in connection? And she shared the fact that, well, Jamie, it doesn't really matter if it's a human, animal, or an insect. It is only a vehicle to house your soul print of consciousness. That's how we do it on this planet. You need a vehicle to get around. Because if not, then you one of them there ghosties. What if all of these realities are happening now? Everything is truly interconnected.
Look at it though the other way though. Our mind, the energy in us, our souls or whatever, are translators of the world, not just language.
Yes.
Everything. So therefore, if you were talking to the dog, mentally or whatever, telepathically, if that was the case, then it's your mind that's translating what it is saying or sending. That energy then becomes words.
Yes.
Words are understood by your mind or anyone's mind to be a word, a whole word.
That has usually meaning to it because of the association. Yes, sir. Definitely. And finding that language to communicate. Not everyone has that. They're afraid.
Talking to dogs. Don't make that. Anybody out there that's listening to this, don't make fun of me, okay? But to talk a dog, and that when you're talking to a dog, look, I've talked to hamsters, but but when you're talking to a dog and the dog looks like he understands you, and you seem to be on a roll. You know what I mean? You know that you feel with a cut. See, it's me. I'm feel. That's just me.
But you bring an interesting point. That feeling is the language of the soul. People tend to associate feelings and emotions as the same thing. And I share the fact, exactly. I share the fact that to me, they're not. To me, emotions are happy and sad. Feelings are an acknowledgement, a grasping of a particular emotion, dynamic, potential upcoming experience, event. Because on average, when somebody says this, they say it like this: I feel happy, or I feel angry. They don't go, I happy. It's an acknowledgement to me, an acknowledgement of a particular emotion, dynamic, or experience.
It's also constant.
Yes.
See, it's not something you turn off. It's something it's on, period. Your feelings, they may go up and down and everything else and that, and you may feel good this day, you might feel bad the next day, or you might feel like, I don't know, laughing your brains off and then another day, whatever. But that's the feeling part of it. But the other part, the feeling part of it, is that's On, period. On. There's no off switch. You control it. Your mind
Don't
controls
turn
it.
it off. Just turn the volume down.
Right. Well, in your case, you need it.
But you bring up a very interesting point because a lot of people tend to fear they'll go down those rabbit holes and think that the intuitive abilities control their lives. And I'm like, it's actually the complete opposite. And when they can realize that it's not manipulation, but co-creation, and that they're able to, in this case, maybe feel the energy of someone else, understand where they're at so that they can communicate and talk with them more effectively, not just to them. Because it's the ability to feel that energy vibration, happiness, sad, uncertainty, empowered, whatever the case is.
And you know what? Our world is so, I don't know, I'm going to be nasty there, audience. It's effed up. It really, really is. There's no intelligent way of saying it. You could say it's insane, but insane is one sector of what's going on.
Yeah, yeah.
There are nutcases. There are non-nutcases, and the non-nutcases are usually the ones that make the nutcases nuts. So, I mean, seriously speaking, I mean, the whole thing is like, I mean, seriously. I mean, I was watching the news today on Newsmax, and Newsmax is pretty good because they're first of all they're conservative, and the other part of it is they only say or report what's already there. In truth, like they tell the whole story. They don't tell a part of the story, and they don't have an opinion. Their opinion is what they say. It's an opinion based on fact. So if you don't like the fact, it's an opinion. Duh. Whatever. So, I mean, our whole life is exactly like that. And how many times or how many years have you and I on these shows talked about people that really, really could have a better life for themselves? All they had to do was take a step back and realize where they are and what they want to do.
And that's the point, getting more clarity on what do you want to do? What do you want to be? How do you want to live life? Not just exist or survive, but live. And that's a big thing because most people with these circumstances, it is challenging, but they'll tend to start surviving life, not living it. And when we survive it, that wears you down and tires you out.
That's another one. That's another part. There's surviving life. See, I mean, I've been through hell and back. I've been dead. I've been alive. I've been wrecked. I've been you name it. I've been there. Except for the drug part and everything else in that. For some stupid reason, I mean, really, people make fun of me to this day because I didn't do pot. And I always swore that when it goes legal, I have to try it. I am not gonna die and say I didn't try it. I mean, it's one of those things. But I mean, I'm serious. Everything that I took in my whole life was 100% brain. I was all there. I was there. I was like a big sponge, soaking in life, in a way. And everybody should do the same thing because that's how you learn.
And not be afraid.
Uh-huh.
That's huge. Yes,
Yeah.
sir.
So you go through all these things, and then you hear somebody. This is funny though, especially for me. It's like you hear somebody talk about something, you turn around and say, they did that years ago. They did? What year? And they're like, it's a joke. You know what I mean? It's like, and I'll turn around and I'll say like 1960, 1959, whatever. And they go, huh?
Yeah.
Go ahead, look it up. I was there. It would be something about New York or something, with old mayors or something.
But see, that's the point. When you're able to share information and then in their own way, they can do their homework to go, right. All right, he's not just throwing a bunch of cheesies out there. If anything, there is validity to what he's talking about. Okay, so what else does he have to say? Because now it starts to become a little bit more accepting instead of, oh, great, sure. Then it's like, oh, I had that experience. I didn't understand what it was, but talking with you, I'm starting to see that maybe I could view things a little differently. Maybe if I have my own empowerment, I could start to live life more than just exist. And when they can see it doesn't always have to be survival, but it can be livability, then that whatever way it needs to be for them, they can start to manifest more productively. Just most don't know how. They don't realize how powerful they are. And it's that connection that the helpless will sit there.
I was actually going to say that. They don't know how powerful they really, really are.
Yeah.
Everyone is awesome. And
Yes.
I know there's a million shows out there. There's a million little podcasts and everything else that go, oh, well, it's really, really fun. It's about that. Forget it, pal. You know what I mean? This is the place right here. We don't, I'm sorry, man. Ain't no peanut butter and jelly on this one. It's right in there. Boom. No, that's the way it is. I am not going to turn around to anyone, and I've done this too. What's is it? Not at work, but we had a meeting in a restaurant, and there was a bunch of people there. Everybody could get up and talk, and I was going to go up and do my 5 minutes for 55 minutes.
Oh, God.
Yeah, wasn't my fault. Everybody had questions, and
Beautiful.
hey, when they have questions, you answer the questions.
See, and when you're on that channel, when you can tune in to what they're vibing with, to go, oh, you know what? I haven't asked that before. They'll give themselves an opportunity to start communicating more effectively, because now they're starting to feel a little bit more open to what you're sharing and a little bit more trust from what you're saying. Then it's not, oh, great. It's, oh.
From being in the music business for so many years, you make a crowd or a bunch of people comfortable in your living room. When you talk, you use the word you. When you do this, when you do that, if you use the word you, everybody will think me. And then they then become part of the conversation because you were addressing them, even though I was addressing 1,000 people.
That's the point. You're talking directly to each and every one of them.
Every single one of them on a separate level, each one of them, so that they all want to come and learn more.
And that they get what you're saying instead of, oh, blah, 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 blah. It's like, oh, okay.
That's why I always bring up questions, because so many people have so many questions, and most of the questions, excuse the expression, and if anybody's listening that was at any one of the shows or whatever I did, and that I'm not pointing any fingers or anything else, but some people are really, the questions are so far out there. I mean, I'm serious. I mean, I like, you actually believe what you're saying? I mean, I've said it to somebody. You actually believe what you're saying? Are you out of your mind, or are we just sitting here thinking that what you're saying is real? So he turned around. Well, this is what I mean. Well, and finally it took him a good 30 seconds, but he finally got around to the real question that he really didn't want to say because he was embarrassed to say it. And I was like,
you gave him enough comfort to open up. That's huge. That's beautiful. And you're just being you. That's the point.
See, that's the whole thing, though. I didn't practice on doing any of that stuff. I mean, how many times did I stand on tables and talk to crowds? I'm serious. I mean, when you got a mic in your mouth, the only thing you can do is pop somebody on the head with a microphone.
But look at the power that you speak with. You've been doing that for 39 years. That's just part of who you are. It's just there. But it's on autopilot that the average person isn't used to standing in front of the throngs of people. They're usually just one person at a time, but they're feeling when you're talking with them, not just to them, that I count. You're saying me or you, that's acknowledging outside of you. So it's not only just about you. You're actually including me. Okay, you know what? If you can do that, then maybe I'm going to include myself in this.
Yes. Every single person that I talk to, even if I talk to them on Skype, they're one-on-one, just like you and I are. That person might be like, I mean, I'm sure you see this all the time. They're like a little bit back, they hold back, they're not like fully, throwing all, everything at you, one of those kind of things. And it usually takes me about anywhere between 15 to 30 seconds to have somebody be in my, in my front seat of my car or whatever.
And when you can open up, yes. I love that when people can feel that they can start to share without judgment, because I have a lot of people that will be like, Jamie, I've never, ever said this to anyone before, ever. Yeah, they're looking at you, they're looking like, you judging me, boy? You're twitching? I'm like, man, and I'm sure I've done that in many other lifetimes. And when they feel and see and hear that genuine sincerity to go, you're not putting on airs and that you're better than everyone. I'm like, I'm no better, no worse. I'm just me. We're all one. And when they can feel that, I love it because they build upon their own way of communicating and they heal themselves. It's freaking brilliant. I love it.
You know what I was thinking about turning around and saying, well, I'm Father Bob.
In essence, yeah. Yeah. But you know, it becomes that ability to realize we're only as limited as we perceive ourselves to be limited. Because I always share the fact playfully that I have a different perspective on that. If your cup of life is full, get a bigger cup. Mm-hmm. And it takes no more energy for me to send love and light to a person than to the all that is. You didn't say I couldn't. Yeah, what about that stairway to heaven? Why don't we make it an escalator? You didn't say I couldn't. Right? There's not a stairway. It's just all I had to do was take the guts to take that first step and let it bring me up to that level of consciousness. And that's when people can start to see, okay, so it doesn't have to be all the work. And I'm like, man, we're always working on ourselves. We're always being us. But I'm always open to different perspective, possibly different ways of seeing things. I'm not that ignorant. It's like, hey, there's not just one way. There's as many worlds as there are perceivers. Nobody sees it the same, yet each just as real and just as valid. And every once in a while, I'll get a comment like you were saying, and that is, kind of reading their thoughts. And some people are like, you shouldn't be doing that. I'm like, well, unless you can stop thinking thoughts, then okay. Otherwise, it's just there.
Yeah, you stop thinking when you're dead. Sorry, you're still here.
Yes. And there is no death. That's the point. That's why, just for me, I always say I never, ever talk to the dead. Not a doctor or scientist, but as we perceive death, right? You die in this dimension and then you go to the other side after this. And I always share, one, everything's spiritual. Two, life is relative because we as humans are extraterrestrials to everyone else. And I always say, aren't we right now living on the other side of where we come from before here? That means we must have died, or could it just be a shift in consciousness and vibrational patterns of energy? Because your experience, I believe, when you died, as you were sharing, the place that you found yourself in, more than likely, seemed kind of physical. There might have been some attributes there that's the point. Each dimension has its own vibratory rate and seems just as solid as this one. And nothing's solid. It's all light, energy, frequencies, and vibrations. You just learn to tune in, function on that channel.
When you're on the other side, the thing that you don't think about is where you came from.
And that is the point.
If those people wind up there, you know them. You're drawn to them. Like my father, for instance, because he passed away in 61 and this was 82. Oops.
Yeah.
But, go ahead.
Ability, the knowledge. I have heard every so often a person who's had, I call it a near life experience because to me there is no death. But when they have that near death experience, that every once in a while they have a loved one going, it's not your time, and push them. I'm like, well, don't you find that interesting that a loved one knows our soul print's timing of experience and yet they played their part beautifully? Yeah, yes, people don't question it.
My dad didn't say that. My dad said, what's this? Your family needs you.
And so what happened? What did you do?
Huh?
You probably took that as a value point to go, I think they do. So you know what? Maybe I'll stick around. He didn't push you. He just shared with you, hey, here's this. Because I will share the fact that when people graduate life, they don't go, well, how did you get here? It's, oh, you're here. Great. Let's have fun. It's just the experience, just the catalyst of consciousness. That is the connection that while we're here, we live, not just exist or survive. And it's not always easy to be happy, but if there are any aspects for ourselves that we can give ourselves happiness, fulfillment, love, empowerment, whatever qualities, then it becomes more of the self-fulfilling prophecy to go, oh, so nobody else really completes me. I'm already complete. I just needed to get the pieces of the puzzle to get the bigger picture. Oh, and I'm starting to realize there's a variety of bigger pictures. I'm like, exactly. That's the point. And when they can give themselves an opportunity to do the best they can to live, experience, and maybe learn, then we realize it all comes together as the one.
Now, we were going to talk about something else, but Time is short. But what we can do in that for the next show is there are a few things in that you may know that we don't know.
Definitely would
And
love.
we've had people on this show that were very very much into fear, well 51, and some real stuff in that was out there, like a real aliens that were booping around. And people don't realize that those aliens, let's call them aliens because we got too many illegal aliens running around. But the real aliens, they are so much more, how would you say it, wise than we are.
Extended. Yeah.
Because just
Okay.
like anything else, just like I said about the years that you have in that behind you, that you can more or less scope your conversation, with some knowledge behind it. These people or civilizations have histories that may be, in some cases, so many millions of years longer than ours. And they themselves, now I talked about the stuff, the years behind, right? Maybe they're 300 years old.
What if there's a potential that they do have a time frame that's different than the average human? On average, 70 to maybe 110 is a great life run. I can only speak for myself, but I will tell you that there are some of our brothers and sisters, because we're ETs to everyone else, but that they live thousands of years, not just a couple of years, thousands. It's incredible. And them doing that long, we'd be like, that's a long time. When in average, the insects that live only a week on this planet are looking at us going, that's a long time. Life is relative.
Right.
And with those abilities and those beings that have been around for quite a while, and sometimes millions of years in advance of what we are able to tune into those technological advancements. What if they do have the ability and the scientific awareness to fold space and time? That it's not the linear and it's got to travel all these miles. It's like, it's all right here, right now.
That's what I said to you 14 years ago.
Yeah. Yeah.
I took, like, for instance, if you take like a piece of anything and you take it, and here is them, here is us, and you want to be in the same place at the same time, you just fold the paper and you touch both ends, and there you go.
It's unified. Right. That's the
And
point.
that's your dimension right there.
And then we start to get into the multidimensionality of who we are as those eternal beings. Because I can only share for myself, but until you have your own experience, it's like, oh, another you. I'm like, oh, that stuff's freaking real. I share the fact that, for many years ago, I was living in an apartment and it was winter time and I rode my bike and I had my sweats on and I had brought my bike into the living room of the apartment. And as I'm walking, here's the living room area. And then just after that's the little kitchen table dining room area. And then off to the side was our eating area. Well, as soon as I walked in and I got just to the corner of where I could see into the kitchen, and it always seems to be a warmth. It's I don't know why, but it's a warmth that washes over me. Anyhow, this washed over me, and standing in the kitchen is another me, identical physically me, with only blue shorts on, drawing a dish, looking at me. And I'm like, that wasn't a freaking reflection. I've got my sweats on. That was And the cool thing is during it was very quick, but during that other me, my eyesight went into the other me and looking at me and came back to me. And when it came back to me, it was gone. I'm like, oh my God, that is incredible. And until you have your own experiences, that sometimes can scare people. They're not always ready for that. And I'm like, man, truly it is all about love. And a fear is only what we're not wanting. I always say that which is good is in harmony with what we're wanting. That which is bad isn't. It's very relative.
See, maybe I'm crazy, man. I would turn around and logically say, like, hey, look, maybe the dimension just kind of passed over or washed over the area or whatever. Because where you're standing or where your soul was at that particular time. No, I would say where, because it might have been something. How long were you in that apartment?
For that apartment, I lived there for a number of years.
So it could have been any time, any period in all those years. And if that timeline goes over it, then therefore, if it was materializing at that time where you were, if that was what it was, that person or that other you thinks that what he's doing and where he is real. Not
Just
knowing,
like we perceive ours as real. Yes.
knowing that you saw that person standing there.
And I had no choice but to go, I don't understand it. I just experienced it. Holy cow. And it wasn't like I was meditating. I'm just walking in after I put my bike into the area there. And I'm like, oh my God. But it had to be that way to get me to go, oh, this isn't just a reflection. This had to be different me physically wearing different clothes, apparently.
Wait, whoa. Let me give you one more. I'm going to see you down in your seat. Which one was real?
Right. What if it's all real? What if it's the unification of consciousness that I was ready in my own way to start blending and merging with other me's, that interdimensionality.
My point is, what if the future was going backwards?
What is?
Or you catching up to the point in future where that future was, or that site was part of that future.
And that is where we get into, I started doing what I call quantum blending. Because all of these realities are happening now, but just for myself, you can take those qualities in another lifetime, another experience. Maybe you were very successful in doing this or had money or whatever the case is. I'm able to, in my own way, I'll target, if I want something in this life experience, I'll relax, quiet the mind, integrate or blend with that quantum level, and I'm able to start picking up characteristics and qualities of other me's just by tuning in. And there's a lot more people that are starting to do that. And that quantum level is impressive because I don't know nothing, but I will tell you, not only is it the quantum level of experience, but I do a variety of healing modalities. I'm a Reiki master teacher and a quantum healer and all that good stuff. But I love it, and quantum healing is my favorite healing modality out of all of those. I share the fact that what hooked me was I was learning and we were practicing on other students. And there was this young woman who was sitting in the chair and I was working on her, and they call it soft hands. It's not you doing it, we're just the conduit. Anyhow, this person was complaining about neck issues. And I'm like, okay, let's see what we can do. And so I just had my hands there, and then all of a sudden, broop, I felt her neck realign, and I'm like, I didn't do anything. It wasn't me. I didn't say a word to her. Once we finished the practicing, I wanted to see if she was going to say anything at all. And then she's like, oh yeah, my neck seemed to go right back into place. I'm like, I'm freaking hooked. That was incredible. The universe flowing through me because it wasn't me. I literally felt like I didn't do anything. I'm just sitting there holding the energy, and she helped and healed herself just by that quantum level of experience and expression.
I got one that nobody knows anything about. Why do girls, or anybody for that matter, feel really good when you put your hand on them?
What if it's the
energy going through is going into their energy, and their energy is feeling it
and harmonizing? Yes,
exactly.
Feels good. Yes.
Nobody, I say that to somebody and they think I'm nuts. I said, no, I'm not crazy, for Christ's sake. It's one of these things, and Jesus, don't worry about it. I got you covered. But on the other hand, it's one of these things where so many people don't realize that, like, for instance, they say, well, what's this? Attraction. Well, attraction is something that's energy too. I mean, let's face it. I can look to somebody across the room, all right? And if I really, really, really concentrate, that person will look at me, look back. They don't know why they did it. They don't even know why they turned around to look. But it was just because I was looking. And there was no eye contact from the very beginning. One of the, yeah, right in the third eye thing. It's like, and, it's weird because, like, I practice it all the time because I'm fooling with it. I mean, I'm not psychic either, but like I said, I feel things like once in a while.
Yes.
And sometimes you just feel somebody that, like, it's not that they may need a talk or anything like that. It's just like you want to find out. You're just in queue. What you want to question why what they're doing, what they're looking like, and everything else.
With them.
Look,
Yes.
yeah, and I mean, we all. There was not one person, not even a person that's listening to this tape, not one person that can't do that. Not one. You want to get bit? Stare at a dog. I mean, I'm serious. I mean, it just shows you that animal, any animal, doesn't matter which one, will really do something because you're staring at them, because you're sending a message.
And I would agree on that. Plus, for our fur baby Simba, I look at him and he looks right at me. There is no It's like, oh, you get me. Okay. I'm like, right, exactly. And feels comfortable with that connection and visualization aspect. Not fearful, but empowered. And being with, Maggie and I for a number of years now, he knows who we are. So he's got a lot of comfort. The challenge is he has all of those beautiful qualities. He's loving. I always say I could literally put a steak down right in front of him. He won't even look at it until we say it's okay to eat it. Never had to hit him, never had to do any of that. But it's that connection, that unconditional love that they just have to be them. We just have to be us. And another reason, one contributing factor why we love our fur babies so much is they accept us exactly for who we are. Good, bad, happy, sad, all of those perspectives. And it is the unspoken word, the physical touch of being able to pet them that is nourishing to our soul and to our mind.
Right.
And it's
petting a dog or hugging a cat or whatever you're going to do, that all has effect on the human body.
Energy, yes. Yes.
And people say, well, I was petting a dog that the other day and I didn't feel anything. I said, how about the dog?
Very good.
But it's crazy, but true.
But it needs to be pointed out. Some people may not recognize that dynamic. And because you're a sweetheart, but when you're nice and you're not like, oh, I know anyone claiming to know everything is ignorant, to me at least.
Oh,
so
yeah.
it's that connection, right, that you have the compassion, that when you're talking with people, not just to them, you seem to have that understanding of what they've gone through, because in some way in your own life experience, you might have had similar circumstances that allow you to speak about that. And when they can feel that, okay, you're talking with me and I count, I'm not just a number or a product or a service. All right. And I love that, because then they find their own value within themselves and they give it to them. Just a lot of us will look on the outside to validate us on the inside, and it's really the opposite. The outside is just a reflection of what's going on the inside, to me. So
the best salespeople in the world are the ones that feel empathy. They're the only one. They're the only ones that do that, because I mean I've met all kinds, even the ones that wrote some of the biggest books. Because I mean, from New York, hey, you just go down to Barnes and Noble and they'd be down there signing books or something, and it was right around the corner from the first lab that we had in New York. And these people are they're amazing. They really, really are. They talk to you from one level of one person to your level of another person to somebody else's level of another person. They switch gears faster than you can blink.
And bring it together.
The great part about it is, as you get into the conversation, you're feeding them. They're taking whatever you're saying, whatever knowledge you're feeding or you're alluding to them in a way. They just take that, they put it together to whatever they know or whatever they've felt to whatever they've experienced, and they give you a good, not an answer, but a solution, which is not quite an answer. It's kind of 50-50.
It's nice to realize you're not stuck, that there's no solution and I'm just going to have to deal with it. It's like, hey, because not everyone knows what they're looking for, but they'll share and they'll open up. And if you're able to share with them in a way that they can get it, that they can understand, then it's the empowerment of self-realization. Then it's like, oh, I've known that. I just needed to be reminded and bring it up to the surface of consciousness. It's like, Everyone has the power. Everyone is God. God is everyone. To me, it's the universe. I am the universe. The universe is me. Every time I unify, there is no separation with anything at all, ever. It is truly all interconnected.
Huh?
It's incredible. And that quick experience that I had where I became everyone and back into me, my master guide, let me know a little while later that that's a life review. I used to think that I'll sit and watch a screen and it'll go by, and he's like, that takes too long. You're everything now. That's why I'm like, I still don't know how it was possible, but that quick, I became everybody. I felt every single energy exchange came back to me with those words. Like I said, how'd you treat yourself? Like, oh my God. Once you have that firsthand experience, I have no choice but to go, at least from my awareness, it's all one. There
One
is no
person,
separation.
one person who was on the other side and that said that they actually showed them, scenes
Cool. Yeah.
from
Cool.
the, and you probably heard that too.
Yeah. Yep.
And I turned around and I says, "What seeds? What are the good ones?"
Yeah. Yeah. Right. What's the selection process of those experiences that they share? Right.
Exactly. And now they, some of the other things. I mean, I sort of felt something like it. But I mean, it's okay if you want to go back to where you are. But what if you want to go somewhere else? Hmm. What if you don't want to go back to the same place? What if you turn around and say, well, I want to land in Hawaii, or I want to land on Mars, or Pluto looks cool, and like the moon is it really really hollow? And you go on these things and everything. You could be anywhere you want, in a sense. Soul is internal.
It's energy. It's conscious. Yes.
Yes.
Exactly.
So therefore, if that is the case, I don't know why in some way they don't let your memories, the energy that you created, that your brain created, why that's not deposited in another soul.
For the most part, it kind of keeps you in the moment. That's why I always say, we don't remember where we come from. We don't know where we're going. So it gives us the gift of living in the present. Right. Because otherwise, and it's a beautiful aspect because we all have the knowledge within eternally. But if people kept going back to that, they wouldn't appreciate what their life is right at the moment. They'd be so much in the past of information and community, whatever it might be, that they won't even appreciate right now being here.
Well, I'm not crazy, but I mean, it's like, well, yes, I am.
Yes, you are just like,
Yeah, I had. Well, I'll be honest about it. But if you wanted to, I'm not saying like record all your thoughts from the time you were born and plug it back into another soul, with a a little sticking thing. That would be okay. That'd be kind of cool. But like you're saying, you'd be too harped on the past to be able to appreciate the future.
yes, and the
Well,
future.
to know the future.
Yes, sir.
And so that would be good. But it would be cool if part of what you do in the present is made or enhanced by the relative history that you had before that life.
What if that's the point? We could pull from our past while we create the present and the future because it's
Yeah.
all happening now. Yes.
I'm saying though, you get better and better and better and better and better.
Oh, yeah.
That is what the aliens did. How do
And
you get it?
notice the length of time. Not everyone's in the same time frame. The universe will allow you in whatever way, good, bad, happy, sad. If you perceive it, great. If not, great. I love you for who you are. That's the point.
How do you make space things that go 2,600 miles an hour in the blink of an eye and no sound?
Yeah.
Hmm?
Yeah.
And they're still. I mean, let's face it. Wherever they're doing whatever they're testing out in Nevada or whatever, it's close, but they'll never smoke that cigar. I mean, it never. I'm serious. They're not gonna do it. The only ones that have the technology that's actually going to do that is light years ahead of the people that are trying to duplicate what the plan is of doing something like that. There are so many things in it that are coming up right now, like the God, uh, what do they call that? Um, it's like a nuclear, or yeah, it's like a nuclear, um, like a cell kind of deal.
So
And
we
it's
got
power. And they're talking about all this new power that they could come out fusion when they come out with fusion. Okay, so let me see if I got something around here. Okay, so
you just disappear off the
just
screen.
just so you see. Can you see this? Yeah. Okay.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
This thing in a size of that big, if they used fusion correctly, that could power an entire town. Okay.
Yes.
Now,
Yes.
these are the things that are on the plan. It is not stopping or drilling for oil. It's not selling gas. It's not shoving electric cars where the sun don't shine. All of these crazy things that they're doing right now and saying, "Oh well, by 2035 and that they'll be outlawed all the gas engines and everything else." Well, you know what? Hey, if I want to go between, say, here in Florida and to my daughter's house, she's in New York State, I would have to, if I had an electric car, I would have to stop 10 times for anywhere between 4 to 6 hours to charge the car to go the rest of the thing.
And if you're on that, you're by yourself. How many people
Right.
feel comfortable with that? Like, oh,
Right. And people are now, and I actually saw it, believe it or not, have little portable generators that they carry around with them just in case they forget to charge their car all the way, or it doesn't charge all the way and they're out on the highway somewhere and it stops. And now with AAA, they actually they're putting in electric chargers
wow.
into the tow trucks, because people are going to start doing this and they're going to go, "Oh well, I can go 800 miles on this thing." Yeah, and after 300 miles, it goes. "Ooh."
Yeah, yeah. But you got to find that balance point. And the good thing is they're aware the best that we can. If those people aren't necessarily paying attention that might get stuck, they'll be able to have the right technology, the right knowledge in order to help them move along their life's path.
Yeah, so an electric car would be really, really great to go to the candy store, go to church, go do your grocery shopping, go to the park, maybe go to the beach for a day or whatever. Be a great car for $100,000. Hey, no problem. I'm serious. Like my car, but my van. When I bought it in 2016, we're talking. I got it in 2017, so it was a year old. Somebody brought it back. It was a lease or whatever, and it's got 71,000 miles on it. And at the 71,000 miles, I've had it in, every year and that to make sure nothing's wrong with it. And it's still absolutely fine. No problem. Whatever. When I go to the gas station, $20, even at the higher price, $20, I figure it out. I fill it up.
That's
$20. I fill it up from what I used because I really don't go anywhere. I do like $8,000 a year, 8,000 miles a year.
right.
So if a car costs 20, 25, 20, $30,000, okay, buy that car because it'll last you 10 years if you're nice to it. You pet it on the head, you walk outside, you kiss it in its what's this exhaust pipe or whatever. But you could do all those kind of things. But an electric car, it could probably last your life because it's going to sit more in the garage than it is on the road.
Then you get those garage vehicles that have low miles, and even though they're years old, they're still fairly new.
Right.
Yes. I think it's finding that balance point of that knowledge, of that information, and creating it in our own life experience so that we don't always have to look at everyone else as the creator of it. We just needed to know, oh, it's possible.
Mm-hmm.
Oh. So then, once they have that, then if they choose, they'll find the way to manifest that possibility.
Yeah.
So let's put it to the test.
So just like life has an you expect to live X amount of years or whatever. And like it hasn't been proved wrong yet. I mean, my whole family was gone from my age. So, I mean, I should be here right now. But hey,
You're like me. I know. I gauged that on my whole family's how old were they when they graduated? Okay, I bypassed most of that.
Right. So I mean, we're doing good. First of all, anybody that was born in the late 40s and the early 50s, we're so full of chemicals. When we die, they just stand us in the corner. We don't even rot. We just stand there. But on the other hand, all of these people that are doing their thing in it with their cars and everything, they have no. Our government has no right to tell us make it mandatory that in so many years you can't drive a gas car. Hmm? I mean, that's kind of crazy because, like, let's face it, there's like 2/3 of the world can only afford the gas cars.
Right.
So, what do you do when you turn around and say, "Oh, you got to go buy an electric one"? Duh. And now we got China moving two huge electric car places, into Mexico.
Oh, I didn't know. Wow.
Now you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
They're two really, really, really big places, and they're doing something else in, I think it's New York State. Something they're bringing the Chinese. Are doing
Wow.
there now. Me personally, I mean, maybe it's just me. I mean, a lot of people may have different ideas, but for any country that is communist, that is against our Constitution and what our people in our country stand for and believe, those people should not be allowed to own a grain of sand in our country. Period. They don't let us buy anything in their country, but they'll sell you anything you want for a price. On the other hand, we over the last 3.5 years have let billions of dollars come in to buy land, and a lot of it was in the middle of the country and farmland.
Yep.
So, what happens when they don't farm farmland? We starve.
Right.
Ooh, and like who was responsible for that trick?
Then you start getting into the murky. Exactly.
I'm gonna bring up some factual information in one of my other shows and that's coming up.
Well, you got this.
Like, hey, when we were a credit company and things. Now I did a lot of jobs for Homeland Security and a bunch of other places, and they did their credit, fixed their credit up for them and things. So I have plenty of friends that know a lot of stuff,
Wow.
and they're not afraid to let out the stuff because they said, "Well, nobody will believe you." It's up to God to say, like, he's going to believe, he's not going to believe, et cetera, et cetera.
So know your own truth, whatever that might be, and live in.
So I'll have a guy with dark hands, dark glasses, and they come up to my back door. Like, hi, how you doing? Meanwhile, back at the ranch, the next show you come on, and we'll have to talk because you want to do a little ET.
Yes, I want to get into that.
I may have some connections that you may really, I'll see if I can get in contact because I've had some people on my phone on my show that were incredible.
Excellent.
They really, really were. These are
More and more people are starting to open up to some of that. And I was curious to see the pushback that for all of these years, people in the government and whoever were like, "Oh, you're crazy. Yeah, there's no ETs. There's nothing." And then all of a sudden, last year, they start to open up to go, "Well, possibly we may not be alone in this universe."
Did you see Canada?
Uh,
In like it had to be about 5 years ago, 5 or 6 years ago, they did it. There was a guy that was in their Congress that's up there, and this guy has been coming out with information. I mean, real information about where they fell down, where they crashed, where they went, blah blah blah. And this guy was like, I mean, I saw that. If I can find the video again, I'll send you a copy.
and he's still alive?
It was. I don't know. I have no idea.
Because I'm like, that's impressive.
But this guy was one of the like we have like a main guy in the Senate, and that this guy was like the main guy in their Congress.
Wow.
And he was turning around saying, "Look, it's here. They're here now."
They were here before we even got here.
Oh, I know. Well, they're part of the fault of us being here in the first place. Half of the stuff in it that we got coming. Look, all right, they're talking about the Arctic thing, melting and all this kind of stuff. Well, there was explorers at the time that they found big holes up there. Look up big. Next time anybody goes on Google, look up big holes found by explorer in Antarctica. find out about it, read about it, and you'll see we have entire cities under us. Under us. We have artificial sun under us. We've got plants. We got greenery.
And an ocean.
Right, and an ocean.
Side, yes. And
Yes.
then it moves from the airy-fairy nut job to, well, question everything. I'm sure there's nothing there. Letting them find out for themselves. That way they're not being pushed, they're being shared with.
And if anybody really, 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 really wants to get a little feel about this inner earth thing, go look at a show. It's back, what is it? Beneath the earth, the middle or the center, Journey to the Center of the Earth. That show with Pat Boone.
Notice, entertaining and informative.
Yeah, well, you see, back then they knew enough that they put that show together. Because if you find out now about all the notes and everything else that were taken from that particular place or that particular discovery, you'll see that those notes and the show are really similar. Including like in the show, they show you dinosaurs. Because of course, hey, that's DNA. It lives. They live. If it's safe or they're not doing anything, hey, they're there. Now they're finding up in that area, they're finding germs. I mean, nasty ones, nasty germs that were around 20, 30, 40,000 years ago.
And more, yeah.
Right. So obviously they came in from alien rocks or whatever, and became part of the ice and were frozen. And now that the ice is melting, those little buggers are getting out.
Wow. Now we can see how easy it is to manipulate humanity. Go out, it's a fear thing, and it's uncovered. And so just a little bit of that. They'll push that. And then people, whoa.
The reason why I say it to so many people is because people have this sometimes dopey way of researching. Sometimes you got to look at, if you know the point, if you know the center of what you're looking for, the circle will grow. The more and more and more and more you read. As you read, you'll see something in what you read. Look that up. And something in that article. Look that up. And keep flipping and flipping and flipping and flipping. And all of a sudden you go, ooh, shoo. I was like, wow.
Bigger picture. Yes, exactly. And that's what we need is power and knowledge. Knowledge is power. And it's that kind of connection that a lot of people want to keep it on the down low. They don't want to share that. There's some of the powers that be, so to speak. And so as we as humans, in this case, are being brought together for ourselves, we're starting to rediscover some of who we are, some of where we've been and what's been there. And I would have to agree with you I just for myself, this inner planet underneath this ground, as we perceive it, is a very real world, an inner world. Mm-hmm. That moon, just from my awareness, is more of a ship and not just a moon.
Yep. Well, that's not because it didn't start out of moon. It started out of moon.
However,
somebody said, hey, you know what? If we do this, we can actually check out, what we put on that rock down there.
Keep an eye out. Exactly.
Yep.
Beautifully put. Yes.
They are not as we think they are.
Yeah. And I want to get into The Adventures of Rocco and Tukey, the Kids from Mars, which is what my mom and I wrote 30-something years ago. And now it's time to start getting them out there. Not only that, I've taken it to the comic book version and we're going on adventures and stuff. So it can be entertaining and informative. It doesn't have to always be the scary stuff. It's like, man, just have fun. Best that we can keep living, not just.
Yeah, I saw your drawings that you had. And anybody.
That's fun. It's fun to be creative. And doing that, I got the other ones these are paintings that I did on 4-foot birchwood. So, it's really cool to bring these aspects to life. And why not make it entertaining and informative? As we get into the molecular structure and the integration, all that kind of good stuff, this science is starting to validate a lot of the ancient esoteric energies. That kind is becoming more practical, which I'm loving. Let's let science work for us and with us.
Yeah, that'd be good.
Knowledge. Yeah, man, something to refer to. Anything.
So this is what we're gonna do. Next show, we're gonna do it on ETs. That means I gotta write one of these promos again for ETs.
Yeah, you do beautifully.
See, there goes my bell.
Tell you, but I do remote viewing and all that good stuff. But every time I tune in, I tap into the mid 30s, 2030s. At that time, AI will be running this entire planet. It's going to move from all the separate countries to a unified oneness planet.
Don't forget. AI. Excuse me. AI is a virus.
Okay.
They will not admit it. They will not. AI goes into everything, every bit of information ever written.
Yes, without emotional connections. Exactly.
Exactly. So, therefore, the information that they have, they throw out what they think. They think is not relevant, and only give you what they think is relevant.
What they want to perpetuate is relevant. Hey, this is what counts. Oh, if they say it, it must be true. I'm like, well, not always.
I use it sometimes that if I can't figure out a word, I'll write in something that would be similar to the word. Like what do you call something that floats on water? And they'll say duck or boat.
What if it's both?
But I was looking for boat. See, but I was looking for the intelligent work, thing for, like a marine object or something, whatever, to sound different than what I'm writing. Every once in a while, Ned, I've done something like that when I got stuck.
Excellent. And look, you're able to find a different answer in some way, a different way of possibly viewing things that maybe with the old pattern we were seeing a different way. Now with this new awareness of a different aspect, we might get a different, bigger perspective.
Yeah.
Well, it's slow but sure. That's the point. Truly, it's all about the love. As crazy as it is, love allows everything to be.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
So
yeah. It's time for us to blow out of here. Now, listen, everybody, when I put this show on here, we don't charge. Somebody asked me that the other day. Do you charge for your shows? No, we do not charge for our shows. These shows are for you to learn. And when I say learn, I don't mean learn. I mean learn and make it part of you.
Experience.
Listen to what we're saying or what we're conversing about. Call in later, send me emails. I get a lot of emails. I mean, I've got more email fingers up in the air than forget about it. I don't know where that finger's going, but it's up there. I felt you saying that. But the idea of the thing in that is when we're done with shows, as you can see, in that we laugh. Laugh is something that everybody needs. Life, love, laugh. I mean, you put those three things in it together, forget about it, man. You will be the best thing in the universe.
And you'll live.
Right.
That's the point. Yes.
Exactly.
Cool.
So,
good, Bobby.
Meanwhile, back at the ranch. Oh, yeah, we get the good stuff. Anybody else that wants to know anything about the show, just write to Bob Charles Show at live.com. Or maybe you want Jamie. Go to jamieclark.net. Easy? Yes. Any questions? If you want to text me, 863-222-4199. You text me, and I will text you back. Who the hell is this? Oh, I'm only kidding. But you know what I mean. I mean, the tax is on, it saves everything. If you got a message, let the ring keep going a few times then, because then all of a sudden the voicemail will come on and you can leave me a voicemail. Just don't start swearing at me. I don't like it. But meanwhile, back to the ranch. This is Pyramid One Radio. And don't forget, God bless y'all. Bob Charles.